What's up, everybody? It's Timothy the Tiger. I am an evangelist, which means a messenger of the great news of King Jesus Christ. He personally has helped me heal physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and now it is part of my dharma, part of my purpose to make these YouTube videos to hopefully inspire y'all to enter into a relationship with King Jesus Christ so that he can help you become the best version of yourself, and most importantly, end up back in heaven. So today we are going to talk about my favorite psychedelic experiences. And the first thing I would like to say is sobriety is king. All right, y'all. I'm not saying go out and take a bunch of psychedelics. That's not what I'm saying. But I've definitely had benefits on my journey by taking some of these psychedelics. But there's a reason why I stay sober now, and maybe I'll get into that at the end. But there were benefits along the way in the journey that did help me. So I think there is some usefulness to it, and that's why I want to make this video and share that with y'all. So first one, marijuana, weed, Mary Jane, all the various names. So one of my good buddies, one of my best friends, the first time I smoked weed, we had a water bottle and he put some foil on top, poked some holes in it, and then with a lighter, he made a little hole at the bottom of the water bottle. He put some weed at the top, and so you put your mouth on the hole, lit it. Anyways, that was my first time smoking weed, was out of a water bottle. And I didn't realize it at the time, but we smoked an entire gram. And if you know anything about smoking weed, that's a lot of weed to smoke, especially for your first time. At any time, smoking a gram is a lot. And my first time, and yeah, so that was an interesting experience. That was my introduction to it. And it was, you know what, it was all right. I mean, my eyes ended up getting super bloodshot, and I just ended up playing a bunch of video games, just kind of processing this new experience of like, what the heck is going on? And it was right after school or something. It was like a Tuesday after school or something, freshman year of high school. But unfortunately, from that moment on, I would have a lot of paranoia, a lot of anxiety when smoking weed. And the only time I wouldn't feel that is if I was drunk. So I pretty much avoided smoking weed. I mean, I would do it, but then I'd get all this anxiety, and it made, because I already had social anxiety in general, and it just is the word exasperated. It just made things worse. And it wasn't until college that I became more comfortable in my skin and more confident, and I was on the rugby team, and everyone on the rugby team was pretty much a pothead. And I mean, most people in college are potheads as well. And so I became a pothead in college. But my most favorite experience with marijuana had to have been, well, I had a lot of experiences with it. But my most favorite one was when I was hotboxing in my car with a couple of my friends, and essentially I broke out of the matrix. I broke out of the matrix way of thinking, and I had the divine realization that the earth is not a globe, that it is not heliocentric, that the sun is not the center of the universe, that we are geocentric, that we are the center of the universe. And yeah, it was a life-changing experience. And that was the start of my whole spiritual journey. And I came to the realization that was the ultimate reason why marijuana, weed, was illegal for so long, is that it had the ability to break people out of the MK Ultra brainwashing. And by the grace of God, that evening, my mind had broken free from the MK Ultra mass psychosis brainwashing, and I had been set free. It was almost like that light bulb moment. And I've talked about it in other videos, but that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, and that was because of weed. And I was like, oh, that's why it's been illegal. It's because it has the ability to break your mind free. And now I don't know what's up with it now. Now that it's legal and it's GMO and regulated, I don't know. I don't know if the weed's any different now. It's part of me doesn't trust weed anymore. If I were to ever consume it again, it would have to be organic from an heirloom seed, and it would be under I would have a ceremony with it. I wouldn't just casually smoke it. I'd probably make a herbal tea out of it and treat it like a ceremony, like you would with ayahuasca or San Pedro or peyote or something like that. Okay, let's go into this one. 5-MeO-DMT, dimethyltryptamine. This one's pretty intense, probably the most intense one on this whole list. And I was living in Guatemala and I was with my buddies, and this guy was some American dude, had some 5-MeO-DMT, which is similar to the Bufo, but this is a synthetic version. I don't really like synthetic stuff, but the real stuff would have been from the Bufo frog. But anyway, since I was with my friends and I realized that, you know, I felt almost like a fear. And I was like, you know what? I got to face the fear. I just got to do this. I'll be with my friends. It's going to be all right. And my favorite part about that was that I was with some of my really good buddies. And yeah, it immediately takes you out of your body. Like, you take that puff, and by the time that smoke is coming out of your mouth, your consciousness, awareness is away from your body. Like, you are gone. You're in another dimension. And yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff. It's pretty full on, pretty intense, and especially because it's synthetic, which means it's made in a laboratory. So definitely would say be cautious around that one. And with any of these psychedelics, y'all, you gotta do some prayers. You gotta pray into it and be like, God, thank you for protecting me. Like, just like you need divine protection when you go into these psychedelic spaces, especially when you leave your body, because a lot of us are entering realms that are just uncharted, and we don't really know how to navigate. And essentially, psychedelics are like a cheat code into entering other dimensions, whereas the traditional ways is through meditation, which takes a lot longer. And so, since we're kind of using a cheat code, you gotta be extra cautious, extra careful. Third one we got on the list is San Pedro, which is also Saint Peter, because Saint Peter has the keys to heaven. So that's why it's called San Pedro. It's the keys to heaven. It's also known as Wachuma. But as we teach on this channel, the real keys to heaven are through meditation, because in meditation you can reach the Amrita, the dimethyltryptamine that is naturally produced in the brain, and you access that through the Kachari Mudra, the king of all mudras, using your tongue to reach up into your brain and put pressure on the pituitary gland and secrete the Amrita. I would say that's the real key to heaven, but that's what this cacti is called, San Pedro, Wachuma, because Saint Peter has the keys to heaven. And that was just a mild tangent thing. I could probably make another video on that someday. But anyways, out of this whole list, San Pedro is probably my favorite. It's also the psychoactive element in it is called I'm blanking on it right now. It's called mescaline. Yeah, mescaline, and it's the same thing that's in peyote as well, the other cacti. And yeah, I would say this was the most chill one. And I was in Peru. Again, I was with some other friends of mine. And yeah, it's always great to do these psychedelic experiences with really good friends. Not just like friends that you don't really know, but I'm talking like your best friends. People that they're your best friends and you really trust them. And because I mean, sometimes psychedelics are intense, and it's good to be with your best friends. And especially with a sober person as well, having a sober person that you trust, that's key as well. You gotta be very careful. Use caution. But yeah, I had a beautiful experience in Peru with the San Pedro cactus, and if I ever went back to Peru, I'd probably do it again. Really, it was a beautiful experience, and I don't really have anything negative to say about it, other than just it was a highlight of my time in Peru. And what originally brought me to Peru was the ayahuasca. And my experience with the ayahuasca was pretty much the complete opposite of San Pedro. My experience with the ayahuasca was completely demonic. I did have heavenly experiences, and you might be wondering, it's like, well, why is this on your favorite psychedelic experiences? Is because ayahuasca really showed me how protected by God I am, how God is protecting me, and it really strengthened my relationship with God, and it really helped me overcome a lot of my fearfulness in life because I had a lot of fears, and this medicine puts those fears right in your face. And a lot of my fears had to do with the spiritual realm and with Satan. And so, what does the medicine do? It put the devil right in my face. And yeah, my experience was I've done two different ayahuasca retreats, and both times, satanic shamans were involved. I didn't realize going into the retreat that there would be satanic shamans, but there were satanic shamans there trying to harvest my soul, and it's spiritual warfare, and Jesus Christ protecting me. I mean, it was an absolutely wild, crazy experience. I'm not really an advocate of ayahuasca, even though it's probably one of the most popular things nowadays. There's just a lot of bad shamans out there with bad intentions, with ill will, that they're either in it for the money or they're in it spiritually to harvest people's souls and steal their energy like a vampire. I think it's rare to find a genuine shaman that genuinely knows what they're doing and really wants to help people. I mean, there might be genuine people that are serving ayahuasca, but it's rare to meet a real shaman. I mean, that takes 10, 20, 30 years. It's like meeting a black belt in martial arts. Like, it takes a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades to become the top of the top black belt, and that's what a shaman is, a real shaman. And a lot of these people in the West, they're treating ayahuasca just like smoking weed or taking LSD, or I mean, they're amateurs. They're not shamans, and they're just serving this ayahuasca, and they don't really know what they're doing, and they're opening realms that they don't know how to control, and they don't know how to protect the people. So you got to be very cautious when you take ayahuasca and you're not with a real shaman from Peru. And like I said, you got to be even wary about the shamans from Peru, because a lot of them are in it just for the money, because Peru is a pretty poor country. And some of these people sign deals with the devil, just like people in Hollywood sign deals with the devil. And so you got to be cautious with the ayahuasca. Very, very, very powerful psychedelic. The way my friend puts it is that it's like one of those twisty roller coasters where it's like, yeah, it's fun to do one of those twisty roller coasters. Like, go to Six Flags, if you know what that is, and do one of those twisty roller coasters. Like, yeah, that's fun for the first time. But would you want to do that all day long? Like, get on that over and over again? Like, I mean, you're gonna be puking, and then that's what you'll be doing with ayahuasca. You'll be puking. You'll be going puking, and you'll be having diarrhea as well. I mean, that's part of the purging. It's a purgative, and it's a real medicine that makes you purge physically and mentally and like psychically and spiritually. Like, it's full on. I mean, it works, but it's a tough love medicine. I'll just put that, tough love. So we'll jump over here. I'm not really quite sure if this is psychedelic or not, but it was in high school, and I think they call it whippets or something. It's like a CO2 canister thing. And I was in high school, and I was kind of a dumbass in high school. As we all are. We're so young, we don't really know. And we were at some sort of club thing, and my friends, we were all in a car. And of course, like, when you're in high school, you're like, like, somehow people got fake IDs, and so like you get your hands on some alcohol and stuff, and so you're just in high school just trying to like do something fun. And they had this like CO2 canister thing that you somehow inhale it, and you essentially feel high for like 10 seconds. And it's just like this, I can still visualize it in my mind, but I mean, I just did it because I was with my friends and they were all doing it, and I was like, okay. And when you're under the influence, like after you've taken like a few shots of vodka or something, it's just like, you don't really have, what is it, inhibition, or like, there's nothing like really blocking you. You're just like, you're just like, oh, okay, whatever, yeah, I'll try it. And I think that's why a lot of people do dumb stuff on alcohol and make a lot of mistakes, is because with alcohol, sometimes your judgment's off. And I definitely don't recommend this, because like you're inhaling from like a CO2 canister. And but anyways, it was definitely a memorable experience. It was just like this like 10-second like whoa, it's just like heightened like whoa. Just I mean, it's hard to explain, but that was definitely memorable, but I have zero interest in doing something like that again, just because the whole thing is, yeah, it seems, I would rather stick to the plant medicine realm, like ayahuasca, that's from the ground, San Pedro, that's from the ground, marijuana, that's from the ground, the more natural stuff that's actually grown on earth, grown by God. The unnatural stuff, like this is unnatural, synthetic, uh, this is unnatural, synthetic, LSD, 5-MeO, whippets, those are unnatural. Um, we'll jump over here to hape. Now, hape is also known as rape, but with rape it's spelled with an R, so I put hape because otherwise it looks like that other word. And it's definitely not traditionally a psychedelic, but I've definitely had like some like mild psychedelic experiences with the hape medicine, which is a tobacco. I actually got it right here. And so, like I said, it's not really a psychedelic. It's a tobacco, and essentially they use this in ayahuasca ceremonies, and it's a grounding. It brings you back down to the ground. But uh, the reason why I use it is it's not really a psychedelic, but uh, in my experience, tobacco can be a very healing plant medicine. And I mainly consume the hape every once in a while, and also organic cigars every once in a while, because an organic cigar is just one ingredient. It's tobacco leaf, and it's organic. So they just take a tobacco leaf, I guess they dry it out, roll it up, and then you smoke it. And versus like a cigarette, like a Marlboro or whatever cigarettes people smoke from the gas station, like those are full of chemicals and just like additives and all sorts of crap. Cigarettes are awful, and uh, yeah, I mean, a lot of the tobacco stuff in America is no bueno. This stuff that I just showed you on screen, that's from the Amazon jungle. It's quite pure. I mean, it's pretty much just pure tobacco, and then yeah, and an organic cigar that's pure as well. It's organic and it's just one ingredient. So I'm definitely a fan of tobacco as a plant medicine. It's been very healing, and in my experience, I can feel it cleansing my aura. If I feel that like something sticky, like some sort of entity is attached onto me, uh, the tobacco has helped me clear that out, along with prayers to God, obviously at the same time. It's been a beneficial aid. Do you need it? No. But has it been helpful to me? 100%. It has definitely been very helpful. And so that's part of the reason why I included it on the list. And it's definitely given me like clear insights as well, where say I'm having trouble making a decision or something, I'll just sit down for a little bit, take some of the hape, and it's about a 5 minute experience, and I begin to think differently, and I get almost more insight, more intuition, like a clearer channel to heaven, like, oh, okay, that's a good intuitive insight. And yeah, that's a big reason why I still take it, is that I feel that the side effects are very mild. There's not really many negative side effects, other than the way you ingest it is through your inhaling it. I'll show you the device. So they don't always look like this, but it's usually just one. But I got two right here, so both of these go into both nostrils. Normally it's just you go one nostril at a time, and then this is a mouthpiece. So you put the tobacco in these two pipes, and then essentially I blow, and it goes up into my sinuses. And I mean, it's not the same, but it's how people would take cocaine. People snort cocaine. Cocaine is an awful drug. I mean, one of the main ingredients in that drug is gasoline. So stay far away from that. Cocaine is awful. But anyways, it's ingested the same way. And I would say one of the only main side effects is, well, A, nicotine is addictive, but B, it gets in your sinuses. And so I do a lot of the neti yoga, the neti pot, and I get the distilled water, and I regularly wash out my sinuses just so, it doesn't get clogged up with tobacco. And I don't do it that often either. It's just, I mean, like I said, it is a very addictive, I mean, everyone knows tobacco is addictive. And so be cautious with it as well. So we'll go into the last one now. LSD, acid. Probably one of the most popular well-known psychedelics. Excuse me. So my experience with this for the first time was in college, and I would say it was probably my most memorable day of college out of my 4 years of college. And I mean, I can still visualize that day, like from start to finish, like almost perfectly. Like it is ingrained in my mind right now. And unfortunately, on that day when we took it, we were trying to go to a music festival called ACL, Austin City Limits. Excuse me. And my friend who had the LSD was growing impatient. He was getting tired about how long it was, like, saying like herding cats. It was like herding cats to try to to go to this music festival, because there was like maybe a group of 12 of us. There was a decent amount of us trying to go. And I guess sometimes how things just are kind of delaying. It's like, come on, let's go, let's go. And my friend, we didn't realize it at the time, but we all took one hit of LSD. He took three, and we didn't realize it until later on. But by the time eventually we were going and we made it to the music festival, my friend that had taken three, I was in the back of my buddy's pickup truck, the one that I smoked weed with for the first time, that guy. I was in the back of his pickup truck, and so was my friend. My friend's name is Matt, and Matt was tripping out. He was bugging out, like almost like, think of like a robot malfunctioning kind of thing, where it's just like he was malfunctioning. And I just remember in that moment was like, never abuse this drug, like never take too much of it. And because I think we all knew at that point that he had taken three. And by the time we got to the music festival and parked, we had to call up some other friends to come pick him up, because he was incapable. He was gone. He was no longer there. Our friend was not there. He was bugging out, and there was no way we would have been able to bring him to a music festival. And so we waited for our other friends to show up. They picked him up, brought him back home. And yeah, I mean, he essentially blacked out. He doesn't remember any of that day. And he was pretty messed up. I remember for about the next 6 to 12 months, he was not the same person. The Matt that I knew, like his personality got fried, and it's a scary drug. I mean, and that was that. And like I said, like, this is one of your favorite experiences. Yeah, But I'm just saying this is what happened the first day I took it. Is my friend essentially overdosed on LSD, and it kind of fried his brain, sadly, and he just kind of never was the same after that. I think after about a year he kind of came back, but you got to be careful, y'all. Like I said, you got to be very cautious with these psychedelics. Don't overdo it. But that day was a very fun day. Besides that moment, and I just remember I went to Barton Springs Pool in Austin, Texas, and just swimming in there and like seeing the seaweed and the, like, because there's like plants. There's plants at the bottom of Barton Springs and fish, and then I was floating on the water, and one of the bands, there's one of those band, I'm blanking on them. They're a pretty famous band, but I could hear them in the distance because Barton Springs Pool is right next to Zilker Park, where ACL is, the music festival. And the Black Keys, is it the Black Keys? I think that's who they were. And it was like right when they were becoming popular too, and I could just hear them. They were like, and I'm just floating there in the water, in this beautiful blue sky, sun shining down, listening to these amazing songs. And yeah, it was such a great day. And then eventually we went back to campus, and there was a party at our house, like a fun house party. And yeah, it was just, the whole day was just such a great experience. Uh, and then I had other experiences with it that I think it changed me. I think a big reason for the hippie movement in the 1960s, I think a lot of it had a negative effect. I think a lot of people became kind of just lazy and homeless, and just, I think the LSD reprogrammed a lot of people's minds. And I gotta say, after this experience, I became kind of lazy in school. I mean, I definitely started thinking differently, and that definitely was a change, where I stopped taking school as seriously. And yeah, I could say like some of that laziness like seeped in, and I mean, there's a reason why like psychedelics and hippies are like they're connected, and some hippies, I mean, they got some negative reputations, and I don't think LSD is all good, y'all. I mean, it was uh, distributed by Timothy Leary, and it turns out that Timothy Leary was a CIA agent. And so like this stuff was distributed by the government, and you know, like on my channel, like I like to say, like I'm very untrustful of them, because it's governmental. Mental is mind, govern is control, so it's mind control, governmental. And you know, it's I would never take this stuff ever again. And the last time I did take it, I was with another one of my friends, and honestly, he was kind of paranoid the whole time. We went to a park, and he's like, "Those people they're following us, they're watching us." I'm like, "Dude, chill out. They're not watching us." And I was like, "Dude, let's just go into the woods." Like there was a walking trail, and we go over there, and to get away from the people that were supposedly watching us, and there was a river, so we like went down to the river to put our feet in there, and there was some girl on a phone, and my friend thought that she was spying on us, and he like started like walking towards her. I'm like, "Dude, chill out, bro. She's just like just on the phone." And I'm like, "Dude, my friend is bugging out. Like he is paranoid. Like he thinks we're being followed." And so we're just walking down this river, and I'm not joking, y'all. A military helicopter comes out of nowhere and is hovering. So close that I can see the pilot. I can see the pilot is just hovering right above us. It kind of looked like one of those Vietnam era military helicopters. And yeah, that was trippy. And at that moment, I realized maybe my friend was onto something. Because then I became paranoid and tripping after that. And yeah, I mean, some people call this gang stalking when you're being followed. Um, but yeah, I mean, it took a while for me to calm down after that. I mean, I was definitely sort of tripping. I definitely got some paranoia after that. And if paranoia is sucks in general, but you get paranoia with psychedelics, that is not a fun experience. And that I believe that's the last time I took LSD. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. That was not a fun experience. I'm good. Um, and yeah, so with a lot of this stuff, y'all, you gotta be careful. It's very easy to abuse this stuff. And if you do feel the calling, you gotta pray up. You gotta have your prayers. You gotta be right with the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Mother, the Holy Spirit. And you got to call in divine protection. You got to have your guardian angels. You got to have the full armor of God. You got to make sure you're fully repentant. You got to make sure you forgive whoever you need to forgive, and you got to release the. I mean, yeah, just make sure it's good. Be as like, good as possible on a clean slate. Like sometimes even going in fasted, like not like, I mean, with ayahuasca they call it a dieta, where like they make sure they say like don't have any sex, don't have. I think they say don't even eat any meat. Like they say don't eat any sugar, like no candy, no junk food for like 2 weeks. Like it's like essentially they say like be as clean as possible for 2 weeks. And yeah, I mean, that would be my recommendation, like going into any psychedelic, because you want to make it as good of experience as possible. And so it's good to like clean internally and be clean spiritually by, making things right. Like if you got any controversies with anyone, just try to settle that and bring peace to that, right? So that you don't bring that into the space and have to process that when you're under the psychedelic experience. But maybe that's what you'll have to do is process that under the psychedelic experience. And yeah, like overall, it's been a fun healing experience. But I've also had very intense experiences with the psychedelic realm, and some of them have been scary. And that's where I've had to just submit to God, rely on God's protection, and I've come through. But I mean, I think some of us have heard stories where like people lose their mind, they lose themselves in these psychedelic spaces, and you got to be careful. I mean, a lot of us are opening doors to realms we don't know. Like we're naive, like we're like little children in a lot of ways. Like, and it's like little children can't be roaming about on their own. They need a guardian, they need a parent, and So when we're going into these psychedelic spaces, like, you need God to protect you. And sadly, I would say the majority of people that go into these psychedelic experiences, they don't set any intentions, they don't set any prayers. It's not very ceremonial. It's just, it's recreational. It's just fun, right? Well, yeah, it's all good and fun until you get an entity attached to you, or you start to get paranoid, and yeah, that stuff's not fun. And so, yeah, just make sure you're with the right people, you're in the right setting, you're in the right environment, uh, and also feel like if you're having guidance from God, like if you're having synchronicities and signs pointing you in the direction to take one of these psychedelics, like that's a good confirmation that you should be doing it. Because otherwise, sobriety is the way. Sobriety is amazing, and I know I did mention I take tobacco, but it's not really a psychedelic, and it's more of I treat it more of as a medicine, rather than just like, oh, I'm bored, I'm just gonna do this. I always treat it with prayer. Before consuming tobacco, I pray, just like the advice I'm giving for these other psychedelics. But like I said, tobacco is not psychedelic. It's nothing like these other things on this list, not even close. So yeah, y'all, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and may God bless all y'all. Namaste.